And I remembered my parents telling us that when they moved here, we were an Eli Lilly family and we'd been transferred a lot, and we had come from Ireland.
Oh my gosh.
And my parents said that they were afraid that we would be overwhelmed at high school. So they took us around to all the high schools. And we, toured all the options. And my sister and I both chose Carmel High School. And my parents said, to our amazement, you rose to the occasion. And we both ended up doing very well here, and we're not overwhelmed by the size and the competitiveness. There was that scare. So that was always in the back of my mind, that we have it in our genes to kind of find our way to the top of tough situations, and that why wouldn't I allow my children that same opportunity? So I'm Missy McCracken, and I started with Carmel Swim Club probably around 1980, and then swam with Carmel Swim Club all the way through, and then in high school, swam for Carmel High School, and still competed with Carmel Swim Club then outside of high school, and then some in college, but depending on where I was studying and what I needed to do, was not able to come home every summer for club swimming, but have always remained in touch with Carmel swimming because I have a sister who's 10 years younger that went through Carmel, and now my daughter is in the Carmel Swim Club. So my sophomore year, we won the first time as part of this streak, but we were not the first team to win.
Right.
There was a preceding team that had won maybe 4 or 5 years before that. So I don't know that we were totally aware of that when we were swimming.
What's that like now when you hear every February and you are watching the results come in? Do you feel that sense of ownership and pride that you helped start that?
I mean, it's been interesting. It's been an evolution. I think initially you're not quite ready for it. And so I would say probably until the 30-year mark, all of us kind of were afraid to touch it. Kind of like, we'll jinx it if we pay too much attention to it because we hadn't been. Yeah, or it'll become about that instead of those kids having the opportunity for it to be about them individually. Or, there were just all these mixed feelings about it. And then it started to become something that was kind of celebrated, and not in a way that was like, can it keep going?
Right.
Not fear-based. It was celebrated in the way of amazement. And I think we all that's what we felt. Was the amazement. The teams since then have been so they acknowledge so much of what's happened before them.
Right.
And they seem to understand how big of an opportunity it is to be a part of something that's so much bigger than just yourself. And so the evolution of your feelings about it all are changing. Do I feel like we started it? No, I don't. I mean, we just went and swam.
Yeah.
And then
chop wood, carry water.
Yes, and everybody just did that until it was something.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody. I think maybe someone would claim that they saw this as the vision. I don't know that it was truly in anyone's capacity to create a dream of winning state championships for 35 years at the time that this started, or even as we were 5 years in.
Right.
I think it's really something that is, it always is just bizarre to me when people come back to us and say, did you start something?
Yeah.
We did not.
Yeah.
We are just a part of something like the people are today. A group of people that were super competitive, super hardworking, and that drove us all, and the rest was just created as a result of that.
Sure.
I mean, we were always at the pool. I grew up in Brookshire, so we were always there. I swam for Brookshire swim team. And being able to ride my bike over to the pool, we would stay sun up to sundown. And as long as we stayed at the pool, we were allowed to be there, allowed to be out away from home. I remember we were in West Lafayette, and I think I started on like their Learn to Swim team after lessons, because I remember swimming in a meet. Well, I have pictures of myself swimming in a meet in West Lafayette. And then when we moved to Ireland, my parents found a team for me to swim there, and it was far away, and so I remember like having to travel an hour like to get to a practice. So I only did it a couple days a week because the 70s and 80s are a time when like if it interfered with bridge, you may not go to practice. And I remember that being a really like just fun experience. It was never like a thing where I had to decide whether I wanted to do it or not. And I never minded doing it. And then when we moved here, then my parents were like, well, I don't know if I heard about it through the school. Or what, but I remember going to the tryouts because we had to do these tryouts, and it was like you had to do, part of it was like you swam so many 50s on a minute. And as you couldn't make any more, then you got bumped out and put in this group of people. So it just, as long as you could go or whatever. So there was this girl named Christine Simmons that was also there for the tryout, and met her, eventually carpooled with her for the rest of my entire life. She's still a very dear friend to this day. But swimming is always, I think the cool thing about swimming is not only is it great exercise, and it's something that allows you to be alone in your head. It provides you with a routine and stability and an analogy or a metaphor for how to do things in life. And so there's just so many elements, and I think there was always something that drew me to that peacefulness of having that time by myself but with other people. Where you're not just by yourself doing it, but having the space to really kind of imagine and daydream and think and work through something in your head in the middle of all of the physical activity. So it was a grounding thing for me, and probably took away a little bit of like some hyperactivity or some anxiety that would have been a little bit more problematic for me, and then I just didn't realize that it kind of leveled me out. And I think it does for a lot of people.
It does.
And I don't necessarily know that Carmel Swim Club did this, or through my participation in it, I did this. I know,
chicken egg.
So yeah, it's hard to really truly identify. But I think through swimming, I learned more about how I operate, how I show up, how I do things, what things mean to me. It's kind of like, dating, I guess. Like you go through different things, different relationships to find out what you like and what you don't like about being in them, until you can match up to the person that has the majority of the things that you do want in a relationship, mirrored back to you. And I think that swimming is kind of that same pathway. It's, you learn what it's like how you handle stress, how you handle achievement, how do you handle disappointment, what things are important, what are your priorities, what your, how true friendships are made, what good friends do and what not so good friends do. I just think there's so many, it is really life on a much smaller, less risky scale. It's an opportunity for mistakes, there's opportunity for risk. The greatest lesson I learned, or a significant lesson, would be just perspective. Like learning, how to be whole and complete despite what's going on around you. having internal inspiration instead of external motivation.
Right.
You know, in my opinion, like athletics should be an avenue toward those things.
Right.
And I think there's so many people that leave sport and don't know how to transition to life outside of sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because sometimes we just forget to point out the ways that this skill can take it and be used, not because it's not happening, but it's not being translated.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those things are there. They're all there. And they're all great, significant lessons to have from swimming. And I don't know that every program has those things. I think some of that comes through swimming in a program that expects you to make a commitment and to show up for yourself and your teammates. There's a sense of community about it.
Absolutely.
So, and that was even when it was small. I mean, we were only about 100 swimmers, the whole program,
right,
back when I swam. But when we went to Olympic trials, the city had a whole thing at the fountain. The fountain was brand new down by the fire department.
Okay.
And they had this whole city parade thing for us. And we were like, we're just going to another swimming. Like, it didn't really dawn on us that it was a significant event for the city as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fun.
That's awesome.
And sometimes in sport, we, especially as a coach, you want people to do what you're saying because that's the easiest path to coaching. And so it's an inherent conflict of interest, so to speak, when you have somebody, an athlete who wants to either challenge it or question it or is feeling some doubt about something you're doing, or a parent that wants to ask you questions. And I think that it's really important to honor that in people because that's what we want all of our kids doing. We want them to hear that voice behind their thoughts that says, that doesn't feel quite right for me. Whether it's, I want to swim the 400 IM instead of the 500 free on Friday night at state age group. Like giving some autonomy to choice, giving some power to being able to grow that skill of listening to yourself.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage any athlete to start to pay attention to the true voice behind the thoughts, because the thoughts are fleeting, and really honor it, acknowledge it, and follow it. Because I think it's an important, or probably the most important piece in growing who you are and your capabilities in the world. So interesting. A friend of mine who actually swam with my sister, Jenny Watts, now Jenny Clark, but she was asking me, do I think she should move over to Carmel?
Okay.
And and I will tell anyone this. If you want to provide your children with the best offering that there is, then yes, you should. But there is no opportunity that is better locally, in my opinion, than what is being provided here. I don't know a ton about every other program around. I've not gone out and done some major study. I just know that living here and the momentum around the program and the community, and I've told Chris Plum this in the sense that this team serves almost as its own community center for the city of Carmel. And so you're servicing, 400 to 500 kids, which is almost, that many different families.
Oh, right.
Which is a massive impact in a community. So it is community-based, and the community is behind it, and everyone knows what it is. And your kids will not be feeling sorry for themselves when they're the one at swim practice, because everybody's there. And so there's not, there's so many wonderful attributes to being part of an elite program. And then you have to do what's right for yourself within that elite environment.
Right.
But yes, I would encourage anyone to do it, or at least try it. And I would encourage people to think about whether it increases the love for the sport. If being in this kind of environment does not increase your child's love for the sport, then this isn't the right fit for you.
Yeah.
And if it does increase it, then you know you're at the right place.
You know, and your whole family gets entrenched.
Yes.
And you're all in.
Yeah. And so I do think, I mean, that's really what we're in the business of as swim coaches and swim people is growing the love for the sport.
Absolutely.
And everything around the program should be focused on that at this age, because the rest the hard work takes care of itself if you love what you're doing. The, getting faster takes care of itself because you're working harder. I mean, it's just all kinds of, a domino effect. Yeah. Oh, sure. There are lots. I mean, we used to do every 4th of July, we swam a 1776 with one rope in the water, and we swam with the older kids and the younger kids. And so when the club was small and you were decently fast, 7th grade, you're swimming with kids that are home from college sometimes. And so it was just, and the older kids always took care of us. Kim Holmes, David Kerr, Derek Kuhn. These are people that were in, later years of high school that would, take us to get donuts after swim practice. It was such I have so many great memories with these older kids that acted as my siblings.
Oh, yeah.
In a very safe and caring way. And then continued to mentor me after they left. David would send a sweatshirt from Princeton Swimming, just as like a, hey, why don't you come here? Wink, wink, or Kim would stay with me when my parents went out of town and come home from college in the summer and do that. So there were, just so many family moments like that. The pranks we would pull on each other at the weigh meets. And, we were probably 14 years old and we were at junior nationals and we all wanted to be together. And it was hot in our room, so we propped the door open. We slept the entire night with that door propped open. And the security guard actually came up at like 5 in the morning and was like, is it okay? Knock on the door. Is it okay if I go ahead and pull this door closed? And we were like, oh yeah, but it never dawned on us to not have our door wide open for everyone to get to a group of, they were probably 8, 10, 14-year-olds sleeping in a room.
Yeah.
Never. So, but we just had so much fun together, being together. And honestly, it's not even the things or the memories, it's the deep friendships that come. I run into the guys from the boys team out around the city, and we'll sit and talk, and the kids will be like, come on. And I'm like, this is someone I swam with, like, when I was 10. I have to catch up. Or like, David Kerr is still a really good friend, and he lives locally. And I see him, a couple times a year. And it's just, it's its own network, and it's pretty special.
It sounds like.
There is nothing really magical about what's happening here, except for the magic that's being created as it's happening.
It takes work. It's not just passive.
Yes, it's not. There isn't any potion.
Right.
There isn't anything special except for the special, the fact that we have made it special. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's being nurtured. It's being actively tended to. It's not like just because we are Carmel that something great is happening.
Right.
It's because people are investing and putting the work in and making choices to direct it that way.
Yes, it's a priority. It is a priority. And that winning isn't, I think people think that winning is a foundational point of things. And I think winning is the result of the foundational points that are in place. And I don't think anybody walks around Carmel, especially not at Carmel Swim Club, talking about winning as the priority. I think they talk about things for individuals, like it would be nice for that person to be able to be a state champion in that event, or it would be, the fruit of the labor for that person to get that accolade. But it isn't like the thing. We're training so you can win.
Right.
That isn't it. So I think with the idea that people outside have this anybody but Carmel or this kind of attitude, they would be shocked to know that nobody here is really thinking about beating you.
Right.
We're thinking inside the program, you're thinking about how to be the best us that we can be. And that's individually and as a club.
Right.
And I think the staff here has done a great job about, it's about a team. It's, and it's, you know, it's not, all those things are just results. No, I mean, I think it's really neat that the swim club is able to provide another location, an opportunity for people to get involved in swimming. I think there are plenty of people, the majority of the program is involved in swimming because of the benefits, health benefits, mental and physical, that come from the sport of swimming. And the ritual of it and the daily participation in it. I think there's only this really small piece of Carmel Swim Club that is about elite performance.
Right.
And so I think it's any time that we can introduce more people to the sport and grow the love for the sport, that it's a gift to the community. So I think it's awesome that another facility is being built to enhance that, because we've tapped the one we have as far as capacity and getting people in. And it starts to get to a point where you're not, it becomes almost an ongoing challenge on how you to do the chemicals when that many people are coming in and out, and how to get the air quality and all of this. So it gets better for everyone, the people that are already currently a part of the program and anybody thinking about doing it. And the fact that it's going to be a facility that's more driven for lessons, because it's going to be warmer and it's going to be, you know, gentler for the younger environment, I think is huge. So I think those are, I mean, that's what's really important to me about seeing a new facility built, is that it continues to grow the love of the sport.